I've seen that people have done the work in a good way, and they have covered multiple topics. So let me start by introducing some of the tags today, and we'll introduce elements in the category form, right? So people have already used those elements, but just for the sake of everyone, we will go through each and every element one by one. So let me just open my Sublime editor. Give me a moment. Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so today we are going to talk about HTML element reference by category. Okay, so there are basically HTML elements are divided into multiple categories. That is, one is basic HTML elements, right? Then there are formatting level HTML elements, formatting HTML elements. Then there are input HTML elements. And then there are multiple, so we'll consider everything in this. So input again contains then there is something called as frames. So frames are not very popular in today's scenario because we don't use frames anymore in designing a website. It was popular concept back in 7-8 years back, so we won't cover this much in detail. So frames, then we have lists, we have tables, right? And we have images. So we are going to cover all these topics today, right? Now, what are basic HTML elements? So in basic HTML elements, if I talk about, we have seen various elements like head, we have seen HTML, we have seen title, we have seen body. So all these are basic HTML elements, right? Now in this basic HTML, there are headings tag as well, right? So we can define our headings in HTML by using certain tags. So HTML provides us 6 heading tags, which we can use to define our headings in a different format. So the first one is H1, right? So if we define H1, your text inside this particular tag would be displayed in a heading form. So for example, I'll simply say heading 1, right? And I'll run this program. So it will display your text in a special form, in the form of a heading, which is bigger than your usual text. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So there are 6 types of headings which you can define in HTML based on the size and the boldness of characters. So H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So I'll simply H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So all are same. It's just the difference between the size and the boldness of characters in this. So if you can see heading 1, or I'll simply change the right. So you can see H1 is bigger and H6 is smallest, right? So you can define your headings in the page based on the requirement in your website. So for example, you have a main header, right? You want to define the information. Then you will say, you can use headings, heading 1. If you want to define a subheading, then you can use H3 and H4, right? So depending upon the requirement, you can choose between one of the element, either H1 or H6. Does it make sense? It's a simple concept.
Yes, sir. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, are these headings are customizable in fonts, color, and size?
We will talk about it. Yes, definitely they are.
Okay.
So when we will read about attributes in CSS, we will see how to customize this. Okay. Now there is something called as paragraph, right? So we have a heading. Whenever we have a heading, we have a paragraph, right? So paragraph is nothing but defines a paragraph like in English language, right? So we have a para and you can define a paragraph by using simple p tag. So my name is Shalin Rawal. Right? So you can see this is the paragraph, right? Now you can define this paragraph with this heading, right? So basically H1 and paragraph are used in order to define the content in a special form depending upon the requirement. If you want the normal content, you will use the paragraph. If you want to highlight the content, you can use the H1 to H6 elements. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So HTML is very simple. It's all about the elements at the end, nothing else. We are just going to read about elements. And we are covering very limited elements in this. There are n number of elements defined, and there is no possible way that you will find all the elements in one single source. So in one side you can find 6 elements. They have on one they have defined 16. So they are huge. They are huge. Right now we are going to talk about a very special, that is your BR tag. Now I have defined this paragraph in a single line, but what if I want to change my line from this, right? I want to define it in a next line. So I will simply see, if I do like this, it's not changing the line, right? So what I'm going to do is, just a second, I'm going to introduce a BR tag. So BR tag represents your break line. It's like you are changing the line of your text, right? Or you are forcing HTML to change the line from very there moment. So as I told you yesterday, HTML goes from top to down. So what really happens is it goes to HTML, which defines it's a HTML5 document. Then it defined the head title. then it defined the body, then defined heading 1. Now paragraph defined my name is Shalin Agarwal, and from here it changed the line, right? So as soon as I compiled this, as soon as the HTML got your BR tag, it changed the line. And I told you yesterday, some of the tags are there in HTML which really don't require your end tag. That's why BR is self-sufficient. You don't really require a closing tag in BR. What if you give, it won't make any difference. You can, if you want to give just for the better readability, you can give, it won't make any change. So it's up to you. The reason why BR closing tag is not required, because if you think, right, you don't need anything in between BR tag, right? What's the use of writing anything? It's defining your break line. So your element does not require a content. That's the reason your BR tag does not require a closing tag as well. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So those, a thumb rule.
Yeah, one question, that all the paragraphs headings goes inside the body. Can we create like one heading, one paragraph, and then we close the body and then create another?
Everything goes inside the body.
Okay. So it's not like we can create two bodies in one page.
So if you talk about a DOM, right? This is your object model.
They don't have a
Please go on mute if you're not speaking. So if you talk about document object model, this is your DOM, right? Okay, an interesting concept. What is DOM? Anyone?
Different things stuff on the clothes too? Yep. Okay, nice.
What is DOM?
If you can give me this or this one for change to tens or fives, if you have.
It is document object model, right? So whatever you see on this web page is referred to as DOM. Okay, so whatever you see, if there is, let's say, let's open a website, let's say The Hindu, right? It's a newspaper in India. So if you open this website, so whatever you are seeing over here, it's a DOM. Make sense? This is DOM. If you inspect the element over here, see, this particular page is defined in HTML5, right? So this is the Hindu page, which is defined in HTML5. Now, whatever content it is written over here, it is all DOM. Does it make sense? Now your DOM is defined only inside the body tag, right? So you cannot define your DOM outside body. So everything goes inside your body tag.
Yeah, got
it. Okay, so BR tag. So you can consider a thumb rule while you talk about the tags. The tags which really don't require the content, there is a high possibility that they don't even require a closing tag. Okay, there is no rule as such. It's just my observations I'm sharing with you. You can observe it on your own as well. Now, if I talk about another tag called as HR. If you see, HR has introduced one horizontal line in my HTML page, right? So as soon as I give the HR tag after my paragraph, it introduced the horizontal line, right? So you can give HR tag as many times as you want, and it will create the horizontal line, right? So what we have covered H1 to H6, we have covered paragraph, we have covered BR, we have covered HR. Any questions, any doubt, anyone?
Nope.
Can you briefly explain once again the DOM, document object model?
DOM is nothing but the body of your HTML page, right? So if you see any web page, whatever comes inside the browser, right? Forget about the taskbar, forget about the title bar, everything. Just focus on this particular body. This is considered as document object model. That is DOM of your web page. So every page, first of all, defines its DOM. Browser first of all defines its DOM, then it displays it onto your page, right? So when whatever code you are writing, right? So it will define this as your DOM, right? I'll show it in this page as well. So if you go inspect over here, right click, inspect, and you can see the inside your elements, you can see the DOM.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So this is particularly referred as your document object model. We will cover more about DOM when we will play with Angular. Anyone, any questions? Now we have seen comments in Java, right? So comments are very important, just to make note for ourselves that why we are doing this, right? So so for example, I'm introducing, currently my text is like this, right? So I'm introducing one more thing, like let's say BR, I reside in India, right? So if I do this, if I come over here, I have just changed the paragraph and I have introduced this particular line. Now, why I have introduced this line? Let's say this line was part of my change version 3, right? So I have to make a note for myself as a developer that when I really change this particular code, right, then I can use the comment. Comment will not show as part of your DOM or as part of your body. It's just for making a note for a developer. So it's more like we have introduced comments. So this is the tag which you are going to use for comments. This is your opening tag and this is your closing tag, right? I am comment. If you'll see, it will not be part of your DOM. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, now let's talk about some of the formatting HTML elements. So these were basic HTML elements. Now we will talk about formatting HTML elements. So as the name suggests, formatting HTML elements are those elements which are used to define the format of the text you are defining in body, right? So everything in HTML is all about how you are displaying your content, right? So HTML is a markup language which is used to display a data, display the content on the website, and the elements which we are using in HTML are basically defining how we want to really display the content, right? So for example, I have this heading 1, right? But I want to define my heading 1 in the center, right? So I can simply use the center tag. All right. So whatever I will define inside the center tag will goes in the center of my DOM. So you can see it went to the center of my DOM. Does it make sense?
Yes. Anyone has any question? मेहरबानी से परेशान करें.
No question from my side.
तो ताखिर से any question?
No question, Talas, by no. But one thing that I need the whole typing in message like you sent yesterday. So I will put in Word for as a note.
Okay.
Right. So we'll cover a few more. So like this is a paragraph, but in this paragraph, you really want to highlight one word, right? So, or two words or a complete line in the paragraph, then you can use the B tag, right? So for example, I want to highlight this demonstrating word, right? So I can simply use B tag. B stands for your bold, right? So if you do this, your demonstrating becomes bold, right? So whenever you are using Microsoft Word, sometimes you do bold, right? Bold. That's the feature over here. Any questions? Any doubt? Anyone?
No thanks.
No.
All right. Then there is something called as I'll try it. I am not sure whether it is supported in HTML5. Italic, right? So what you want is that you want to define your text in an italic way. For example, I want to define this in italic. So what I can do is I will simply take it and put it inside I tag. Right? So you can see it has changed into italics format.
And if you want to have it same time bold and italic, then
You can do it like this. So you want it to be bold. So first of all, you can give bold. And then inside it, you can give italics. So you can see it has introduced italics and boldness both.
cool.
Right? So tags and elements are very easy, right? And generally you will get to know that by the name. For example, bold, it's B. If you want to make it italics, it's I. If you want to change the line, break the line, it's BR. If you want to give the headings, it H1, H2, H6. If you want to give paragraph, it's P, right? It's very easy. Let's see some of more. Right? What if you want to do the underline, right? So you can simply define a tag called as underline. Right? So it had introduced the line under the content. Right? So these three things are very popular in Microsoft Word. So whenever you open Microsoft Word, it always gives you bold, italics, and underline. Anyone, any questions?
Seems pretty interesting and injectable as well.
Yeah. So there are a few like which I haven't also tried. Like there is something called as strong. Let's try it and see what really happens. So and strong is another form of bold. So you can use bold or you can use strong. They are one or the same thing. Then there is called as sub. right? Let's define our so as you can see, as I gave the sub, it goes into a little down, right? Like you are defining something. It's a sub part of a word. You will see in a lot of novels and book, the display, this kind of display in your paragraph, right? A sub part, right? So it depends upon the requirement, how you want to display the content. Then there is something called as sub, that is superscript. So you can see sub is going in the downward direction and SUP is going into the upward direction, right? Any questions? Any doubt? Anyone?
No, sir, no question.
So these are some widely used formatting tags or elements. Trust me, I'm doing this web development from last 7 years and I've not used more than these formatting tags. We will introduce CSS for more changes, but tags and elements, I think these are good enough for you. But there are n number of formatting tags. You can explore more on w3schools.com or Java T point. You can open any HTML tutorial and you can go and read n number of formatting tags.
So when we use center, right, we can same use left, we can use right.
There is nothing called as left and right.
Okay, only center.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So there is nothing that, like, for instance, I want to put my text in on the right hand.
Here is something we will come to CSS.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yes, so here we only have center.
So
or it will
CSS,
automatically be in the left.
yes, automatically in the left. And if you use a center tag, it will go to center. And if you want to make it float to right, then we will have to wait for CSS to introduce.
Okay, good. Yeah, again, my concept of when I said Pesh Pazak is coming here.
So HTML is basically just to define the content. If you'll see, there is no style in this web page, right? So for introducing style, we have to wait for CSS. So right now we are just observing how to put the content in your web page, just the content.
Shalin, sir, we can use a line tag with two left and do it left and right our paragraph or anything you want.
I'm not
Or
trying.
no?
Let's try left and right. So you can always try, right? Let's say left.
No, sir. No, I said that the align, like ALIGN.
That's a part of CSS, CSS.
Okay, sir.
And I don't think so there is left, but left is always there, right? Let's try right. Right, there is nothing called as right. And for align, just wait for CSS. From CSS, we will introduce style in this web page. Anyone, any questions related to elements?
No, at the moment, I think, but these are the common things with the elements and the tags. For me, I got it a little bit. Yeah. Any question? If no, we will move forward.
No question.
Okay. Now let's see some of the input tags, right? So what I'll do is I'll simply comment this everything out. So so first thing is your input type text, right? If you want to take a suppose there is a form in Facebook, right? Whenever you sign up, it asks for your first name, last name, and everything, right? So for that, there is a simple tag called as input tag, right? So if you see, I've simply introduced my input tag. I can give inside this anything like a input box. Any questions? Any doubt? Anyone?
No, sir.
Right? So there could be various type of input. For example, this type of input is called as text. Now, what is this type? This is called as HTML attributes. So the content you define inside the angular brackets of your tag is called as attributes. So type over here is called an attribute, which is basically defining as that this input tag is used to define the tag text. Right? So all HTML elements can have attributes. Attributes provide additional information about elements. Attributes are always specified in the start of the tag, and attributes usually come in pairs. So pairs by like this. It is one thing, then we are assigning this to some variable. Right? So what we have done, we have defined the tag, and then we have defined one attribute called as type. The value of this type is text. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right. So there could be multiple attributes, right? Multiple input element inside a HTML form, right? Let's introduce a BR so that it will change the line. All right. So we'll make one BR tag. Right. So what it will do, it has changed the line. Now we know that this could be for the first name, this could be for the last name, this could be for the street, this could be for the city, right? But we have to really identify it in the text. Then there is an attribute called as name inside your input, right? So name is basically used to identify, to uniquely identify your HTML element, right? So if I really want to talk about this input HTML element, then I can define a unique name to it. Let's say first name, right? Similarly, I will simply say middle name. And here I can define your last name. Address, right? So it won't change anything for the user, but for us as a developer, now I can really uniquely identify the each input element I have defined. All right.
Yeah, Charlene, now if you can we add one more input into it that is like number, right?
What do you want?
Number. Yeah. And now
Wait now. Won't let me cover. Okay, so I was talking about one type. Talash has introduced another type. Type is equal to number. So whenever you are defining type is equal to number, so as this is specified, name is specified. Now you can only type number in it. So let me call it as phone number first of all. All right. Now this is the fifth input element, and here you can see one symbol is coming for increasing and decreasing value, right? And I'm trying to type the text, right? See, but there is no text, no ABCD inside this particular input element because you have restrict the type to number. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, so Charlene, sorry again, I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah,
For
that's okay.
instance, we have address, and inside address, we are using numbers and we are using text as well. So that's a combination of numbers and text. For instance, we are using email, and inside email, we are using a combination of both. So do we have anything specific for that, or that's
Come again, I lost you.
yeah, so I said like
There is
for
type email, type password is there. So for
okay.
example, if you want, you can give type password, right? Now if you'll see, if you will type anything, it will come like a password. All right. Similarly, you can define type email. It won't make any difference to you as a user. You can type anything, right? Because your email could be, so it's really useless. Because
Same
in
for
HTML,
date.
there could be any character, right? In
Yeah.
email.
Same for like,
So you
you know,
can,
date of birth, we say.
so there are date pickers for that, for date of birth. We will come to that.
Okay.
Anyone, any questions, any doubts?
Charlene, you can call me Peshpazak sometime if you want.
Come again?
You can call me Peshpazak sometime if you want, if I jump a little bit ahead of.
That's okay.
So one thing that we right now, I don't see, like we have those types kind of boxes where we enter, but how, like if I want to know that this is right now, to me it's not clear to the user, right? To the user it's not clear that it is he or she should type his name here, first name, last name, email, date and stuff. How would we do that?
Yeah, for that we have labels, right? So now my problem is solved by Talash questions. So label is used to define for user that what kind of input element you are using for what, right? So for example, I'm using this label for label called as first name. All right, and I'll simply close my label tag. You can see it is written first name. Now you can bind this label tightly to this input element. So you can define for attribute, and for attribute you can say I have defined this label for my this input element, right? Anyone, any questions? Similarly, you can define labels for all the things. So this is your last name. This is your, okay, my bad. This is my last name. This is my middle name. This is my address. This is my phone number.
Sir, and here the phone number N is not capital. So does it change anything if we type it in capital, like first name, middle name?
You can do anything. There is nothing like syntax. It's
Okay.
not case sensitive. It's HTML is not case sensitive. Java was.
So can we like do, Charlene, can we do phone and then space and then number, same as you did here, or it should not have any space?
No, it should not have any space, right?
Okay, yeah.
The reason is that it's not the content you want to display. It's just the code, right? I've uniquely identified this input element as phone number, right? So this doesn't make any sense. So I'll remove it as of now, password, and again this. Right? So it still looks very weird. We will introduce styles by CSS. Right? Now, what is this? What this really is? This is a form, right? So there is one input element called as form. Right? And everything will go inside this form. So as of now, this is a standalone application. There is no backend to it, but there is something called as action in form. Do something. So we'll come to this type and attribute action in some time, right? Now there is also buttons, right, in the form, right? Whenever you are signing up, you fill up this information, then you click on a button, right? So you can define that button by the type submit. Input type submit. Value is also submit. So you can see there is button introduced, right? Now, whenever you click on this button, what really happens is that it basically triggers an event, right? That event is defined by this action, right? So generally in action, you define a path of your backend logic, right? So basically what happens when you click on submit, you want to save it in one database, right? So that part is handled by the backend of your website, and that backend would be called by this action, right? So as of now, there is no backend in this site, so nothing will happen on click of submit, but generally that's the functionality. Does it make sense?
Pretty well, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Like for instance, if we have like checkboxes in a form, right?
Yes.
Inside the
We will come to
button.
checkboxes, radio buttons. We will do a lot of things.
Okay.
So just for the assignment, can you please make a quick form, everyone?
Right now, sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can see it's a checkbox. Any questions? Any confusion? Let's see our radio button. All right. So I will simply go to this. Input. Type radio button. And let's take an example of name language. Right. And what value I want to give. So value can be simple HTML. All right. So if I do this, it's giving, and here I will simply write HTML. And we'll introduce a BR tag. Right. So this is one radio button, right? So radio buttons always comes in pairs, or there are 3-4 radio buttons and you can always select one, right? So for that, you can define multiple radio buttons, but the name of all those radio buttons should be same. Value can change. For example, my language could be Java, my language could be JavaScript, depending upon which radio button user is selecting. But if you notice, my name of the radio buttons are same. All the 3 radio buttons have the same name. The reason let me complete first, Talash. The reason I give the same name is because user can select only one radio button. If I'm selecting Java, JavaScript is all automatically getting deselected. If I select HTML, Java is automatically deselecting, right? So if I give different name, what really happens? Let me show you, right? So now the names are different. So you cannot really group your radio buttons. You can select all, and it does not make any sense, right? User can select all the 3 languages. It is more like a checkbox now. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yes,
so
Talash, you were asking.
yeah, the question was like, if we give an example of an exam question where there are multiple questions in it. So in one, they said choose only one, right? And others, they said like, you know, for instance, A and B is correct, C and D is correct, or all are correct.
Yeah. So those are called as radio buttons because you can select only one option at a time, right? And you can also use, if you want to use multiple options, you can use checkboxes, right? So checkboxes can be multiple selected, right? As you told, you can select 2 options, A and B are correct, right? So let's say this is A, this is B, right? You can select both checkboxes.
And if we change the name for them, it will be just, we can select one of them.
No, name is same. If you see, the name of checkboxes are same. So checkboxes can be multiple select, but if you give the same name to the radio buttons, you can select only one radio button. That's the difference between a checkbox and a radio button.
Okay, so same concept, and it's not going for both.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Any questions? Any doubt? Anyone?
No.
So in radio button, a thumb rule, name should always be same.
Mhm. Very good.
Okay. So today what we have covered your input HTML elements, your basic HTML elements, and then we have covered what are attributes. Attributes are nothing but this for, this type, this action, value, name. These all are attributes,
Mhm. Great. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So tomorrow we are going to talk about a little bit more of input HTML elements, and then we will talk about images. We will talk about lists. We will talk about ordered lists, unordered lists.
Mhm.
So we'll play more with HTML elements. So in HTML, there is nothing else other than elements.
Sir, I got a question. It's not related to today's topic, but basically it's related to HTML.
Shoot.
So yeah, we can see there are many websites which they are like showing different languages like Chinese, Arabic, or any other languages. I mean the lettering. So can we put like Arabic letters and HTML as well, or what? How they are going to design those websites?
So there are concepts, right? There are concepts in your Angular framework where you can introduce multiple languages, right? So for that, you have to literally write Arabics, right? So if you have Arabic keyboard, then you can write Arabics over here. You have to literally write it.
Yes, I have Arabic keyboards on my laptop, but when I write it, it's not like it's not the correct way of writing. So maybe there is another software or application to support Arabic's language. I
Might
don't
be because in Angular, we can do that by using the linguistics framework.
know.
But
Okay.
here in plain HTML, I'm really not sure we can do that.
Mm, okay. Okay, sir.
So let's
Thank
wait
you.
for that framework where we can
Mm,
have multiple languages, right?
okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, we conclude for our day. We will have an assignment as well for all of us. Shalin, can you write something for us to do it as an assignment for us? Pass it on into the chat so we copy it and paste it.
So you have to make Facebook sign up and sign in form.
Okay.
You have to design a form of any social media site.
Okay. Great. Yeah, when we do sign up, right?
Yeah, sign up.
Okay. Okay. Good. This is so okay. All we got the our assignment, and yeah, as a homework to do to take a look into any particular stuff on the images lists.
So you can take a look on more formatting tags. I've covered limited formatting HTML elements.
Mhm.
You can explore more formatting HTML elements.
Okay. Okay. Formatting elements. Yeah, class. So with that, anyone has any question with regard to the assignment and exploring more on formatting tags in HTML? These are our two stuff to be take a look into it for tomorrow. Okay, yeah, great. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Shalin. Yeah, yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.